guys, so it's just me, Rosie, today. I thought I would come on here and talk to you a little bit about my journey with my weight. So it's something very personal to me, and I know it's very personal to a lot of people. So I'm just going to start off this video by saying, please remember to be kind, not just to me, obviously, but to each other. A big part of my story is negativity towards myself, from myself and others, but mostly from myself. So I just wanted to start it off by saying that. So this video probably will only be interesting to some people. If you are going through something similar to me, that this helps you in some way. But mainly I'm making this video to help myself and my mental health. So I'll start at the beginning and work my way through it. I guess start with a little bit of like history about me. So basically my whole life, I thought I was very overweight. So all through primary school and into high school, I compared myself to my siblings and to the people around me. And those people weren't telling me that I was big. It was just that society was sort of comparing me to all these people. But there were a few times that even as a really little kid, I sort of got judged or comments were made about my size that stuck with me for a long time. And for example, I did dancing from when I was about, I don't know, like 3 until the end of high school, so 17. And I remember very vividly it being time for concerts, and we'd all try on our costumes, and I would have to have the largest size, and I'd be the only kid getting that large size. Or I'd be getting the adult size small, and I was like 11. So those things really stuck with me, and I dieted a lot through high school. I was relatively fit in high school, actually. So I did lots of different sports like softball and rowing and dancing and basketball, and all different kinds of things. I was actually really strong. Like I look back at photos and I'm like, I was really strong. But I had a bit of a belly, and I was always super self-conscious about that. And I thought it was a lot bigger than it actually was. And just high school in general is a hard time for anyone, let alone a teenage girl or a teenage girl with a little bit of extra weight. It was kind of a rough time for me. And then year 12, I was sort of struggling a little bit with my mental health, but I had no idea that's what was happening. I was quite anxious, and lots of things were going on behind the scenes for me, to do with coming out to people, which maybe that will be another story for another time. Rumors about me being gay at school, and all that kind of stuff was weighing on my self-esteem. Anyway, so fast forward to a few years out of school, I went through a breakup, and it was pretty rough because it was the first big breakup I'd ever gone through, and I was very sad, and that's when my anxiety got kind of bad. Well, no, not kind of bad, I shouldn't downplay it. I got bad anxiety with panic attacks at that point, and I think I turned a little bit to food for comfort because I was so confused with what was going on, and I just didn't know how it was going to end. I started, again, this could probably be another conversation, but I started getting therapy, and started getting a little bit more confident in myself. And then I met Lauren, and we started our relationship. And at the beginning of a relationship, you go out to eat a lot, and a lot of the activities you do as a couple kind of rely on going out to eat. And I would always just be like, well, if she's eating that much, I can eat that much. And that was kind of like my whole thought throughout my whole life. I was like, well, if they can eat that much, then I can. It was kind of like a competition, I guess. But it turns out that I have a very slow metabolism for multiple medical reasons, like PCOS, so polycystic ovaries, which affects like 1 in 10 women, and it's not really talked about how much it can affect your day-to-day life. I also have hypothyroidism, so that's low thyroid function, which makes your metabolism slow down. So I have a few different things playing against me, I guess, for metabolism. So over the first few years of dating Lauren and moving out of home, and my anxiety probably being the worst it's ever been behind the scenes, I gained probably 20 kilos or so in that year. And that was really scary because I got lots of stretch marks. I looked obviously bigger, and that was already something I was really worried about. So that was really hard. And I was like, I mean, at this point I was still exercising. I was eating the same as anyone else, but I was gaining weight, and I was just getting bigger and bigger, and more hate for myself was building up. Then I decided to do a diet program with my mum, which was where you would do like meal replacements, so like shakes and bars. I try not to roll my eyes too much because programs like that just aren't very healthy for your mental health. And I did that for actually like 8 months. So I really committed to it, and I think I became a little bit obsessive about counting calories. I was aiming for 900 calories a day and exercising 5 times a week. And over 8 months of doing that, I lost 7 kilos. So not very much in the grand scheme of things for how hard I was trying and how hard it was affecting my life. When I stopped losing weight at that point, I sort of turned a bit mentally, I guess. At the end of doing that diet program and trying to sort of get off it because it was no longer working, and I was starting to develop an eating disorder, basically, if I ever went off my calorie count for that day, I would feel extreme shame and guilt, and that would lead to basically purging. So hopefully this doesn't trigger anyone. Obviously, if it does, I'm so sorry that you're in that place right now. But I started basically, sorry, this is really hard to talk about. I had a pretty rough go of an eating disorder for 6 months in 2020. So I had finished this diet program, and I was studying my postgraduate degree, which meant that I was home alone a lot and sort of isolated and in quarantine. Obviously it was more isolated, and it got really bad, and I was not keeping many meals down, and I was so hateful towards myself. I was so guilty. I felt really guilty about everything, but despite what you think it would happen, and I guess the reason why you do start, I guess, an eating disorder is the goal to like get smaller, right? But that didn't happen because that's not how it works. And I gained even more weight, and I got to my heaviest, I think, that I've ever been. I started getting therapy for my eating disorder, which is, again, so hard to say, but anyway, I got therapy. I went to therapy every week for 20 weeks, which is a long time. That's like the better half of a year. And I guess, quote unquote, was fixed, but which meant that I was no longer vomiting, but I was still feeling extreme guilt and shame whenever I would eat anything that was a treat food, a good food. So like pasta or bread, or cheese. And everyone around me was eating it and they were fine. And that was the hardest part. And so we got to the start of this year, so 2021. I was still getting the years mixed up. And I obviously had maintained, I guess, the weight because bulimia does not make you lose weight. And And I'd also sort of developed a fear of exercising, because whenever I would exercise, the thought process and the fear of, well, if you've exercised, you can't now go and have something that is bad for you. So then it would kind of spark it all again. So I kind of stopped exercising. Had stopped vomiting, but I still had the thought process happening all the time. And my weight was still too high. And by too high, I mean it was not healthy for my body. So I was getting up to my heaviest weight, which was 111 kilos. And I'm 170 centimeters tall. So my BMI, I think, was like 37 or something. And obviously BMI is not the gold standard for everything. It obviously can be way off. But it's just a general indicator that I was too heavy. And I could feel that. I could feel it. I was aching in my joints. And my skin was stretching and all these things. So at the start of this year, I sat down with my dad, who's a doctor, and my sister, who's also a doctor, and asked them if they thought surgery was an option. I kind of thought there's no way that they would think that this is an option. They're just going to laugh at me, etc. And they were really supportive, and they were like, yeah, that's a great idea. I think you've tried a lot of ways and you've struggled a lot, so let's do it. And I was so shocked. I did not think that they would be on board with that, let alone be like, yeah, I'll help you get this happening. And so I slowly sort of got the topic around my close friends and family, and like got advice from them. And basically everyone was just happy that I was making a choice that would make me healthy. So in May 24th of this year, I had a gastric sleeve surgery. So 2 weeks beforehand, I had to start a pre-op diet to lose a little bit of weight, which basically just makes surgery safer. It makes your liver shrink down a little bit and reduce any risks that might occur during surgery. And that went okay. Well, it's fine. I had my surgery, and when people say that weight loss surgery is the easiest way out, it is not. At least not right now. So surgery, obviously, it was major abdominal surgery. It was laparoscopic, but it was still a major change inside my body. So I was in hospital for 2 nights, and I came home, and I was on painkillers for about a week, which I didn't realize, but that also kind of made me slip into a little bit of depression. I'd never had strong painkillers. For the first 10 days post-op, you have liquid food. And that is literally things like soup with no lumps, smoothies, very thin smoothies, and water for 10 days. And that was harder than I expected. It was actually really hard. And then it went on to soft food. And I know that it might sound like it's only 10 days, but I was in pain, and I was also keeping this secret. So I didn't tell really anyone. Maybe 10 people in the world knew that I was having this surgery. So I felt really alone, even though I knew I wasn't. I obviously had Lauren and my family around, but I felt really alone. I felt like I would never feel normal again. And then I got onto soft food, and I don't know how to explain the excitement of having a mushy avocado for the first time in basically 10 days of not chewing at all. To have something that had a little bit of texture was very exciting. So I actually lost about 10 kilos in the first 2 weeks, because I went from doing an intermittent fasting pre-op diet to basically not eating anything in the hospital. I couldn't really keep anything down, to eating liquid. So maybe like 200 calories a day. And my body was trying to heal itself. So I rapidly lost a bunch of weight, but I couldn't see it. I was very swollen. And I'll put some pictures here as well. So I lost about 10 kilos in that first week, and then it kind of plateaued off for a little while. And that was kind of scary, because I was like, it should just keep going down. And I don't think that they tell you that like it's going to plateau, and then it will slowly come down again. So now, today, I'm 3 months post-op. I am feeling pretty good. So it's taken me till now to kind of find my feet with my new lifestyle, I guess. I still find it really hard to go out to restaurants with other people who are eating normal sized meals, and I have half a cup of food, but I'm getting there. And I can eat anything, but with a very small portion. So the reason for getting a gastric sleeve is they remove about 80% of your stomach, and they leave about 100 mils in there for you. And obviously the 100 mils can expand to fill and then shrink back down. So a normal, typical pre-op stomach can fit up to 5 liters at one time, and obviously you would feel very sick, but you can fit about 5 liters. My stomach now, at full capacity, once I'm fully healed, could fit 1 liter, and that's like max and how full and uncomfortable I would be at that point too. So typically I can eat about half a cup of food at any sitting. So I guess some things I've been going to is like dumplings, I can have 3. If I go to a sushi train, I can have 1 plate. That's the kind of portion sizes that I'm at. So as of today, I've lost 16 kilos, which is really exciting. And I still can't believe that the weight is still coming off, and it's going to continue to come off. And I have to just believe that that's going to keep happening. And yeah, so I thought instead of, the reason I wanted to make this video is because I didn't want to keep a secret anymore. And it wasn't because I felt bad for other people who didn't know about my thing or the gossip. It's that I want to be able to talk to other people like me. I want people to know that weight loss surgery is not cheating. It's not the easy way out. It is hard, and you do have to work for it. And you do have to change your whole life and go through major surgery, which is a choice, obviously, but it's still a big deal. And also, I don't want to live in fear of what other people think anymore about it, because I'm at a point now where I'm really proud of my decision. And I think it was the healthiest option for me long term, for my health conditions, my mental health, to basically alleviate the shame that came with my weight. But I want to continue to work on loving parts of myself loving any part of myself. So I'm still in therapy. I have been in therapy for about 5 years, and I am so grateful that I have that as an opportunity. And I'm going to continue to work on myself, obviously. It's not just an easy fix. This is long term. I'm going to continue to lose weight for a long time, and that can obviously lead to issues at the end of the day. I hope that this has helped some people, maybe some people like me a few months ago who just needed to hear that other people were going through the same thing as them. And I am really excited to tell my story, even though it's not a pretty story. It is mine, and it's the first step in basically owning things that people think are typically something that should not be told. So eating disorders and weight loss surgery, weight in general, is something that people do not want to talk about. They don't want you to talk about, but that's my choice. Obviously some people obviously are going to keep it quiet, and that's completely fine. That's their choice. But I hopefully can find some people who are like me, and please ask me any questions you have about gastric sleeve surgery down in the comment section below, or on our Instagram. I'm going to do some update videos. So I'm 3 months post-op now, but I can do some update videos or any tips that I found, especially those first few months. I feel like people just gloss over those months and focus on long-term tips for gastric sleeve patients. But I love you all. I'm so grateful to have a platform to talk to, And I will see you next time. Bye.